everybody, Mermaid Kairi here, and for most of you that don't know me, I'm a mermaid that's located in Southern California. I've been mermaiding for about 5 years now, and throughout those years I've worn quite a few wigs, from the wigs that you get at the store, like the Halloween store, to now nicer, like very full wigs that you can buy online. And so the California Mermaid Convention actually asked me to do a video about wigs and just kind of give you guys some brief details about what types of wigs there are, when to use them, like what's the best way to use them, how to wear them, as well as just general wig care. So let's get started. So for most of you starting out and wanting to be interested in wearing wigs, you don't really know where to start. You have so many different types of wigs, so many different companies promoting wigs, and sometimes even the wigs that they show aren't really what it looks like when it comes. So I just wanted to go over with you all the different types of wigs, as well as, go over what's good about them as well as what's difficult about them. So I figured I'd start with the most basic one, which is our typical run-of-the-mill wig that you buy at a Halloween store or like a little costume shop. This one is Pristine Punk Wig, and so this was actually given as a gift to me, and this is how it looked when it first came out. And just fluffing it up a bit, you can see that there's a lot of like little frayed edges. You can see that on the inside of it, there's not very many places to clip on. It's just basically a thin netting that you could probably have hair clips in or hair bobby pins in, but as you can see, it's just, simple wig that you would honestly just slip on. And so I know a lot of people that do these really do make the most of them. People who can make these wigs and turn them into something beautiful, whether or not it's an add-on to a wig or if it's just, being able to just run this through our wig care cycles and then letting that wig actually like fluff out and look great, because right now it's just been stored flat, so it doesn't have the chance to kind of actually look as best as it can. So that's one of the wigs. Other wigs include wig extensions. So the extensions you can either wear with your own hair. Most people do have extensions where they can clip them on the inside and you can wear it with your own hair, or you can actually attach them like this. This actually has a little clip. So you attach it to your side and then you have some extra fluffy hair on the side. These are great if you just want to add to your hair, make it look voluminous. You can add it as a back hair ponytail, or you can add them as side buns. But there's also the tiny little clips like this one. This is a longer one that is very similar to my own hair. As you can see, they're little clips that pop out. And then all you do is do this underneath your own hair. You pop it in, and then it actually ends up extending your hair. And they all come in different hair types, so you can have them be your own hair color, or if you want to add a little bit of pop of color, they have regular colors, or they have like rainbow color effects, things like that. So those are known as hair extensions. The next one is called a 3/4 wig. So this is a beautiful wig that I absolutely love, but what a 3/4 wig basically is it's an extra piece. It's like kind of like a wig cap. So this is one that is not a full wig itself. You're actually supposed to put this on the top of your head, and when you put it on the top of your head, it usually adds more volume and gets that fuller look that you want to go for. These are not very well commonly used, but they are great if you want to have this sewn in or attached to like a crown or a certain headpiece you wear, because then when you put it on, you already have all this nice fluffy curls already all set, and then you just attach it on like right here. So it doesn't go through your whole head, it just stops right here. So you can just put a little crown right here, and then it ends up being nice and perfect and pristine, and you get all this actual volume. And well, right now this one's kind of a little bit used, but that's what a 3/4 wig is. And then you come to full wigs. So full wigs can go anywhere from lace front to heart front wigs. There's also like things known as ultimate lace front wigs. So it all depends upon the type of lace that they use on the front, the volume itself. Obviously more volume, like more density, means that's going to be a more expensive wig usually. And then the concept of hard front wigs is that they don't actually have that lace on the front of them. So this is what's known as a hard front wig, mainly due to the fact that there actually is a hard front to it. So this lining right here It makes it look like skin tone slightly, but it doesn't, you can't see through it. And so this part is very hard. It actually bends kind of harshly. And so this has a very firm line. So you actually put it right where your hairline is, and it's supposed to cover your hairline just a bit, so that way when you're wearing it, people can't really tell. It doesn't blend into your hair as easily, but a lot of cosplayers use this actually in most of the cosplaying world because they just work great. These are perfect for styling wigs, especially wigs that you want to wear for like a certain character, things like that. But as you can see, the inside, past this hard front, actually does have it loose, and so these have all the different layers on there. And they also have clips in them occasionally, or if anything, you can also add, like most of us, bobby pins to pin it into your hair. The next type of wig is a lace front wig. So these are the wigs that I normally wear, and it's mainly because of this. So this is a lace front wig. So this is an uncut lace front. So as you can see, the lining actually blends in seamlessly, and as you look further and further in, this whole front portion of it is lace. So it's meant to be so it blends into your hair and it ends up making it look more natural and more realistic. So you actually cut the lace to the measurements that you want. Most people put it on and then you can see how it looks. And as you can see, like, it just has this good effect, and there are clips on the inside as well to hold it in place, as well as a back clip. So this is a lace front wig that is uncut, and so this is how it normally comes to you, and then you decide the length at which you want this lace to be. So you can either go right before the hairline, a little bit further out. It all depends upon what your preference is. And I'm going to show you some of my wigs that I have, as that most of them are in fact lace front. But for right now, I can try to put this one on and I can kind of show you how it looks. Whoosh! Dramatic hair effect. And most of the time you put your hair up, unlike me, but see how this is just right here is all this lace. So you kind of put it to your hairline. And then what you do is you would try to see how far you want this to go to blend into your skin tone. As you can see, it's probably lighter than my actual skin tone, but it'll blend in seamlessly up here as well. For someone that has full hair like me, you can surprisingly fit a lot underneath these wigs. So sadly, I wish I had more hard front wigs to show you. However, I don't. I'm hopefully getting some in the future. Just so that you're aware, hard front wigs can range in price. They can be lesser than what's known as a lace front wig. However, if they are styled, that's where you get to the higher prices. A lot of people want to have the aerial wig, and so a lot of those are hard front wigs, and they are styled, so they're going to be more costly because of the time it takes to get those styled. There's specific different types of designers that actually focus on wig looks and styles, and there's actually some amazing ones out there that do specific characters, and so they can get you those. And those are the ones that definitely are more expensive because they took the time to get that style exactly perfect, whereas the hard front I showed you was just right out of the pretty much right out of the packaging, and that's how it looks. So those are usually going to be on the lower range of pricing, and then the higher range is that styling. But I figured since we're here, I might as well talk to you about the different wigs I own, as well as the ones that I've worn for different events. You're probably going to recognize a couple of them, and I'll explain a little bit more in detail. But these are actually two different wigs right here. One of them is, this is known as a Webster wig. This is extremely full wig, and it's very heavy. It's very high density wig. So as you can see, I can part it, and this is a pretty big chunk of hair to part into two. So these wigs tend to be higher density, and so obviously higher price because it's going to be more. These wigs have actually been through quite a lot. This wig specifically has been to different events. So this is a higher density wig, whereas this black and orange one is thinner. So as you can see, if I part it, it's very easy to part. It's very easy to see the back. It was less. However, they both serve different purposes. So for me, doing different events, doing different gigs, sometimes you don't want a lot of wig hair, so this lower density one works great. Whereas some of the time you want that big fullness that you can also like do things with. So if I put my hair up into a ponytail, it's gonna be longer and richer and fuller as far as like doing a design on it. You always need to check, but a lot of wigs, the higher density ones, are actually made so that they're heat resistant, so you can actually put a curler on them and put a actual straightener on them, and you can redesign the wig however you see fit. I actually have one wig that I've worn recently for one of these shoots I did that I actually added curls to it. So it was loose and wavy originally, and then I actually wanted to add more curl and more volume to it, so I, curled it. There are specific things with each wig that usually you'll get like a pamphlet or a little information about your wig either online or through when they deliver it to you. But there are specific temperatures you have to, change wigs or curl wigs at if they are heat resistant. If they aren't heat resistant, all you're gonna do is burn your wig, and I don't recommend it. So for like the cheaper wigs, like the one that I showed you from the Halloween costume party, I would not ever heat that up. It's going to melt. So this one is like very good quality wig. I love wearing Websters personally because they're so full and you can do so much with them, as well as you can also curl them, style them, use heat on them, and they aren't bad to style that way whatsoever. Whereas certain other ones you can't do that. But there are quite a few other wig companies that also are heat resistant. You just have to make sure when you're looking for it, and if you feel like you're going to wear this multiple times and want to change it from curly to straight or add curls to it, you want to make sure that you have a heat resistant one. But what you'll see in the photo shoot that I had done, that we're going to show you a little bit later, if you want your hair blowing in the wind all gracefully, you want it to actually look like that and actually get that flow even on like a windy day or even just someone blowing your hair for anything. These wigs I wouldn't recommend for that because they are so heavy, because they are so dense that they're not going to easily blow in the wind. They're going to fall straight back down naturally because it's meant to be heavy, it's meant to be dense. You can do a lot with it, however it does not blow in the wind like I wanted it to. So I kept on flicking the hair and it'd flop for a second and flop back down. These type of wigs are going to take a lot more work underwater. Because they don't float, they're actually very dense, so they're gonna progressively fall. So if you want to do a photo shoot underwater where you want to play with the wig, this is gonna require more work. Whereas this wig over here, this orange and black one, since it's looser, this is the one that you want to wear if you want it flowing in the wind, and you can actually do it underwater where if you want to play with it, it's actually going to float if you throw it up, and then it'll slowly gradually fall. Whereas, like I said before, this one's going to be heavy, it's going to sink. Even having someone try to grab the hair and pull it up is going to be difficult because this is going to just be very heavy and it's going to, just hold the water and sink rather than, float the way that you want it to kind of get that ethereal look. So yeah, so these are the different wigs as far as lace front that you can see the difference between the two. I also wanted to share with you one of my favorite wigs that I have worn so many times. Believe it or not, this wig is as old as my mermaid career, guys. This is one of the first wigs I ever bought. It was a Webster wig. It is not as dense, obviously, as this one, because this one is longer, so it has the ability to be more dense, but it is still very, very dense. So if I have to part it, you're not going to be able to see at all where the wig cap is. But yeah, this baby has been through so many shoots. It was in my shoots with Cheryl Walsh. It was in my shoots when I first started mermaiding. I have a lot of photos with this wig, and yet it still looks in amazing quality despite all that, except, obviously has a little bit of old, broken ends from the many times I've used it. But this is actually one that I have also added curls to, so it was, because I wore it so often, it was starting to lose its kind of texture, so I added curls the last time I shot in it. And so this was really great with shooting just because I could add those curls, twist it however way I wanted. And honestly, I have more work to do on this wig, but I'm pretty happy with the fact that despite everything, I had just recently brushed out this wig a little bit, and it still has this amazing texture. It's not falling apart. There's no completely broken ends where I couldn't wear this again. If anything, all it needs is a little bit of extra work. But yeah, this wig is, I want to say, about 5 years old now. And it still looks amazing quality. So if you do take good care of your wigs, they can last you a long time, despite the many times you've worn them. So I'm sure after seeing all these different wigs, you're wondering where to start. How do I begin? What price range should I go for? And it really all depends upon you and your interests and what your preferences are. Before COVID, I was gonna tell you, you should go to to a Halloween store. They're gonna let you try on the wigs. They're gonna let you see what you think about what color works best for you. But sadly, with COVID, that's not the case. What I'd recommend is, start off small. Start off with a color that you like, whether or not it be your mermaid, your Mersona, something that matches your tail. It can be something that matches a character that you want to play. I was portrayed as Mermaid Kairi. That's actually from Kingdom Hearts, so I thought, you know, red, because Kairi's hair is red in Kingdom Hearts, and I thought that that was a great way to start. But funny enough, I actually didn't start with that when I was first starting out. The first wig I actually ever bought, besides like the old Halloween ones before I was a mermaid, was actually a wig from Evangeline's up in Sacramento. And it was a blue wig, because as most of you probably don't know, I'm a blue mermaid originally. That's the first one I started out with as far as my mermaid journey was concerned, and then I hopped straight from there to my Webster wigs because I felt like I really was going to use them. I really wanted to wear them, and I felt like it was a great step for me to kind of, you know, bring out something different. And of course, back then I was dyeing my hair different colors too, so I also had that option. So yeah, I'd start off small. Best place to go, Amazon. See what color you like, go try it out, and you know, if you really like that color on you, then you can go and purchase something like the fancy Webster wigs, or prices adjustment to that. I know I say Webster a lot because it's my go-to wigs, but there are other companies that do it. Arta Wigs as well as another one. There's a couple other companies that I forget the names, but they also have great quality wigs. Not every wig is gonna work out. Trust me, I sold quite a few wigs because I tried them out and I was like, this isn't me. But basically the point is, just enjoy yourself. It's fun, it's wearing colors, it's having a silly time, and it doesn't change the fact that it makes you an amazing mermaid, an amazing performer, an amazing person in general. The wig doesn't make you, you make the wig. Same with the tails. The tails don't make you, you make the tails into whatever you want them to be, whether or not it be for performances, for fun, or whether or not it be like cosplaying different characters, things like that. So yeah, just get started wherever you want. Wig care! The best part of the whole entire job when you get a wig. Just like tail care, just like top maintenance, just like anything that you buy that you want to wear again, it is going to take work. And depending upon the type of wig that you buy, it might take a lot of work, or it might not take as much work as you thought. This one, I already can see, needs more work because she's just been sitting out, and of course I think my cats have decided they wanted to just play with my hair, my wig hair. I'm actually going to show you guys, not completely my wig care routine, I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but I am going to show you a wig that I wore recently at a shoot, that you're going to see the actual shoot happen in a little bit later on in this video, but I wanted to show you the aftermath, because the funnest part is the aftermath, guys, and how you go into taking care of it after you have a shoot. Alrighty, like I said before, guys, I was going to show you a wig that I wore recently to a shoot, and as you can see, this definitely looks different than that one. So for the most part, the top is somewhat okay. You can kind of see the frizz at the top. If you can't see it, there's a little bit here. But this is a wig I wore to a dry shoot, and it is dense, it is full. It is a lot of work to wear these wigs to shoots. They are pretty heavy on your head, but as you can see, this is all sorts of knotted and tangled, and I can't brush my fingers through it for sure because there's just a bunch of knots. It definitely feels different too. It's not as smooth because it's been, you know, out in open air. I had to touch it to do the shoot, so I was touching it, moving it forward, moving it back, and all those oils from my fingers as well as the salt air will make your wig look different afterwards. So I'm going to show you a little bit more on the inside. So this is kind of, this is actually one of the things I like about these, is that they are lace front. And so you can kind of, like I mentioned before, see where I had it. And so all this actually does have a little bit of glue on it from when I wore it that I have to rinse off. You can't see it as clearly, but on my end I can feel it, that it has some glue on it. And on top of that, anywhere where my hair was near my head, there's knots. So there's knots down here, a bunch of knots. It's very frizzy now. So this needs to go through proper wig care again because it does need a lot of work. But first of all, no wig ever looks the same when you first get it. When you first get it, it looks amazing, and then you wear it, and then all this stuff happens, and then you're just like, oh great, this is gonna be a lot of work. And for a dense wig like this, it is a lot of work. The less dense the wig, the easier it is to maintenance it because you don't have to go through each individual strand, get out all those knots, and it's not going to frizz as easily. Like this wig has been through quite a bit as well. This was, I believe, my third wig from Webster that I bought, and it's about 2 years old now. So it is older, and it is definitely overused, overworked, and so it's been through a lot. So it looks a lot different than when I first got it. But once I get it all nice and done, it's gonna look so much better. It's gonna look a lot nicer. It's gonna look a lot more lively, and it might look more better like the ones that I had, even though those need work as well. When you do finish with a shoot or anything like that, try not to have it out loose. The more you throw your wig around and shake it around, the more all this is going to become puffier and have more problems. I know I'm making it worse, but if you shake it or you throw it around or you just leave it hanging, it's gonna get those knots, it's gonna get frizzier, it's gonna be more of a problem. Every wig that you buy, usually, most often than not, will come with a wig netting, which is specifically for the wig itself, as well as a wig bag. So the bag and the netting is where you should put it. So no matter when you're not using it, you want to put it back in that because it's meant to prevent any additional frizz. It's meant so that it doesn't catch anything. It's meant so that you can protect the wig. So basically what I do after any type of event or whatnot, I would take off the wig. I would try not to use my hands as much. I would put this netting over it. So this is netting that it came with. So I try to make sure that this goes on top of the wig, over the wig completely. And then I would progressively twist it into itself. So it's all protected by that. And then I would put it into the bag that it came in, which is this bag, which helps with frizzing and whatnot. And then I would put it away until it needs to get cleaned again. You're finally home! You're finally back. You're finally ready to get into wig care. Who are you kidding? Nobody wants to start with wig care. Everyone gets home after a long day of shooting or a gig or an event or whatever you did, and you wore a wig, and all you want to do is go to bed. Or you can start wig care, which no one wants to do. Trust me, I never want to do wig care. I never want to do tail care either, but the sooner you do it, the more likely your wig is going to last, the more likely that it'll be easier to maintain. So my recommendation is get a bucket. A beautiful bucket. I believe this is 2 gallons. I am not sure. But any size bucket that can actually drench the wig completely is ideal. What I recommend is doing about halfway full with water. And then you add whatever fabric softener you want. So right now this is Downy. You can use a 99-cent store fabric softener. Honestly, the quality doesn't change. The only concern that I recommend as far as fabric softener is that if you are allergic to fabric softeners or have specific sensitivities to fabric softeners, I would recommend using one that you use to wash your clothes in. Because if you are sensitive towards those type of things, you don't want to put a different fabric softener and then start ending up having a breakout or irritation because there might have been some left over. Granted, usually we wash these completely, so the likelihood of the fabric softener being stuck or retaining is, ideally not going to happen, but also I'm about to dunk my hands in the fabric softener, and if you have allergies towards fabric softeners, I wouldn't recommend doing it. And what you do is, what I normally do is I'll mix up the fabric softener and the water. I usually use 2 cups of fabric softener, and then I will end up just drenching the wig. And in the wig goes, and it soaks. I do know that most people say at minimum 2 hours to soak. That way it really does get into there. I honestly soak it overnight. Most of the time, one of the things you need to be aware of with wigs is you never want to brush them when they're wet. When you brush your hair when it's wet, and without anything in it, it ends up breaking. When you do that to a wig, it ends up fraying the wig and causes a lot of bad issues. I've had to learn that the hard way. I think most of us have. If you've ever done wig care, you've made most of the mistakes. Trust me, I've made most of the mistakes as well. But it works out better if you do take good care of your wigs, if you do this first. If you feel like the fabric softener is too much in there, you can add more water after you're done soaking it. But you want to be able to make sure the wig is mostly in this fabric softener, because the fabric softener is going to soften the wig and allow you to basically just brush it out better, be able to have it be a softer wig after it had been handled, and it definitely helps with just clearing out any of the excess stuff that you've left in that wig, whether or not it be your oils or it be any other type of material that got caught in the wig. It's easier to take it out. So after you've dunked in the solution, what I recommend usually is wearing gloves, but I don't because I'm just me. But you can wear gloves. Ideally, wash your hands right away if you're not wearing gloves, because you are touching fabric softener. It is a chemical. You want to make sure to keep that fabric softener off your hands for very long so it doesn't irritate your skin. But what you do is you're going to take it either in the shower with you or into the sink, and you want to rinse it off with cold water. Not hot water, just cold water. And another thing you don't want to do is you don't want to brush out that wig when it's wet. If it is wet, it's going to be damaged. So you pretty much all you do is take that wig out, and then you're going to just use your fingers to kind of rinse it off as best you can. Try to get all that fabric softener solution off. Another step you can do is adding any type of conditioner. I have a couple of favorite conditioners I like to use in my wigs, and I'll put that into the hair the same way you do normal conditioner. I'll put the wig off to the side. I'll just let it sit while I'm just kind of putting in conditioner. I try not to brush it with my fingers. I'm just trying to overlay it so that when I rinse off that conditioner, it's still soft. Same with your own hair. You just kind of put on the conditioner and take it off. And then what you don't do is you do not brush the wig when wet. Like I said before, I want to make a big emphasis on this, guys, because it will damage your wigs. It will make it very difficult to deal with them once they're dry. So basically, I usually just have a towel rack, and I basically put one of my towels on top of that rack, and I'll put my my wig on top of that, and then a towel on the floor wherever that rack is, so that it basically just drips dry. You can try to like squeeze as much excess moisture out from the wig before you put it to dry. I try not to because like I said before, I just want to let it dry naturally. And like most wigs, whatever wig style it originally came in, not the wig style that someone did to it, how it originally came from your supplier, whether or not it be Webster or Arta or other wig companies, it will maintain that. It's supposed to maintain that style. So my straight wig, my black and orange wig, it's still straight after I dried it, after I left it there. It still stayed straight. Same with my my purple wig. Funny enough, it also stays once you style it, but my purple wig, it was very much loose, wavy curls, and it has maintained that throughout. I've added curls to it, however, it's always going to try to go back to that normal style, and I'll have to add to the curls again afterwards once it's dry. But yeah, so if you do maintain it, I wouldn't recommend, like I said, brushing it when it's wet. I would just let it drip dry, and then once it's dry, that's when you work on it, and that's what's going to be our next step. So the last step to wig care is this is one of my wigs. This is after it's been dried, and then the last thing you're gonna want to do is get a detangler. You can either get the detangler from a specific wig company that you like. I honestly just like this one. It's very simple. It's called Prep and Rally. It's by Dry Bar. It's pretty much a prime and prep detangler, and what you do is you spray it on, and you can also add some moisture to the wig as well with like a spray in it. Most of the time what I would like to say is that with wigs, you don't want them to be soaking wet. You don't want them to be wet. You do dry them out, but you can add a little bit of moisture to it when you're brushing it out. But you never want it to be soaking wet, otherwise it gets damaged. And then, handy dandy wig brushes. There are a lot of different types. I honestly love this one. There's also this one that I have. It's a pet, it's a pet brush, but it works wonders with this too. So you just find a brush that works, and what you always want to do is brush from the bottom and work your way up. If you do find a knot, like let me see if I can find one, you want to find out where the knot is, and with your fingers just slowly part the hair from the wig. There's a lot of tutorials on how to do that, and I probably will do a second video eventually about that, just more wig maintenance and care. But basically you're going to want to part it and just use your fingers to slowly inch it out, because wigs naturally are going to inch out from there, and then see how it automatically separated. So you always want to be very gentle with your wigs, and you want us to work your way from the bottom. And if you feel a knot, you can either add more detangler or you can try to work that knot out. Never try to brush from the top down, because all you're going to do is take all these knots and progressively tighten them as they go. And so you'll just keep on brushing it. It does take quite a long time to brush these wigs out, especially if they're thickened wigs like this one. And so as you brush it, I usually just twist it and just leave it to work once I get a full side out. So I usually take just like a portion of it, and once I know it is done, so going from the bottom, brushing all the way up, I know the top's already done. You basically can take this portion and either put it to the side Or what I like to do, which you see in my other wigs, is I twist it. And once I know it's twisted, it's done. And so you just go through that with each of your wigs. If I were to show a video of that, it'd take a very long time, but basically this wig is just gonna slowly but surely be detangled. And you can also run your fingers through it a little bit, and you can find where those knots are and just try to slowly part those knots. Like I said, the fuller it is, the more likely that wig is gonna be thickened, that wig is gonna start to have a lot of knots, and so it's gonna take longer. So I usually put on a movie, a TV show, and I'll just slowly but surely make my way through the wig. I'll have some clips from my hair, like typical hair clips, and I'll just clip this side and work on one side, and then once I'm done with that side, I'll switch to the other side. And then based on your wig type, most people, and what I always do too, is that if it is stored away or if you don't want to use it, you can just basically add braids. Braids are a great way to keep your wig from being knotted again, and then you can just leave it off to the side. And then once you're ready to use it again, you can unbraid it and then restyle it however way you see fit. Or you can put it back into the bag, it's up to you. This one's gonna definitely take a lot of work, and it's gonna take some time. And if you're ever uncomfortable or ever unsure, you can always just re-rinse it and start again and see how it goes. But the main point is not to damage it the way that is recommended. So don't wet it, like completely drench it, and while it's completely wet, try to brush it out. It's not going to work. It's going to damage your wig, and then you're going to be left with some ends that look pretty much similar to this, I believe, just maybe a little bit worse, and it'll be throughout your whole entire wig, so you'll not have this smooth texture that you want. That'll make it look more realistic. Another great thing about fabric softener is it takes away this very shiny feel to the hair. So it makes it look more realistic. So you don't have that cartoony like hair with the little shine going on it. It'll look more natural. So you can see like this part is already just done, and then I'll just work on the lower half, because usually the underside is the hardest part to do with wigs. It's the hardest portion to get those wigs maintained, is because it goes underneath your head, it's touching your skin. It's basically where you're sweating as well if you sweat. I know I do. So if you sweat in that area, you'll end up having those wigs get those knots back there. So usually you can work it. You can also just take your wig off a wig stand or wherever you want to do it, and you can do it upside down. You can do it from the inside. You can work it like pretty much on your lap. It can be however way you want to work this wig. I usually do is I bought this wig stand from Amazon. These styrofoam mannequins from Amazon as well. So that way I can just sit here, put it on the mannequin, pin it with any type of pin you want to use. This is actually a pin from my sewing machine, and then I end up just leaving it there and just brushing it out that way. Next, I'm going to show you a video of behind the scenes of what happened during the photo shoot, wearing a wig during a photo shoot, and then the photo that comes out of it. And so, yeah. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be keeping an eye on the comment section, so feel free to ask any further questions below. I wanted to give a big thank you to Mermaid Rachel for asking me to do this video. I appreciate it so much, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye!